In the summer of 1939, while Europe trembled under the rising shadow of Adolf Hitler, three scientists in a quiet American laboratory realized something terrifying. A discovery in physics, invisible, microscopic, could destroy entire cities. A new kind of weapon, a weapon the world had never seen, a weapon Nazi Germany might reach first. And so began the greatest scientific race in human history. A desperate struggle not fought with armies or ships, but with equations, uranium, and the minds of the most brilliant people on Earth. This is the story of the Manhattan Project, the race to stop Hitler, and the chain reaction that would end World War II and change our world forever. In early 1939, German scientists Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann made a stunning discovery. Uranium atoms could be split, releasing energy far greater than any chemical explosive. This was nuclear fission, and in the wrong hands, it could become the deadliest weapon in history. Across the Atlantic, two scientists, Leo Szilard and Eugene Wigner, were terrified. They knew Hitler controlled brilliant physicists. They knew Germany had seized uranium mines in Czechoslovakia, so they turned to the one man who could get a message to the White House, Albert Einstein, the most famous scientist in the world. Einstein signed a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt. It warned Germany might be working on an atomic bomb, and the United States must act before it was too late. On October 11, 1939, the letter reached Roosevelt. He read it once, paused, and said, "Someday, someone is going to make a bomb with this. We'd better make sure the Nazis don't get there first." The race had begun. Roosevelt appointed a man known for his discipline and iron will, General Leslie Richard Groves, builder of the Pentagon. Groves had never built a bomb before, but he knew how to build the impossible. Under Groves' command, an invisible empire spread across America, from the deserts of New Mexico to the hills of Tennessee. Three secret cities arose, guarded by fences and lies: Los Alamos, New Mexico, for designing the bomb; Oak Ridge, Tennessee, for separating uranium; Hanford, Washington, for producing plutonium. Hundreds of thousands worked there. Most didn't know what they were building. Only a handful understood the goal, and they spoke only one word: the project. But inside this empire, another man would shape the bomb's very soul. His name was J. Robert Oppenheimer, a brilliant theoretical physicist, a dreamer, a man who quoted Sanskrit poetry and rode horses through the New Mexico desert. Groves chose him, against all advice, to lead Los Alamos. The world would never be the same. Oppenheimer gathered legendary minds: Richard Feynman, the prodigy who played bongo drums; Niels Bohr, the Danish mastermind who escaped the Nazis; Enrico Fermi, the Italian genius who built the first nuclear reactor; Hans Bethe, the German Jew forced from his homeland. Together, these men formed the greatest scientific assembly in human history. But time was running out. Germany was advancing through Europe. Reports said Nazi scientists were attempting uranium experiments. The fear was simple: if Hitler got the bomb first, civilization itself might end. The clock was ticking. To build an atomic bomb, the team needed one of two rare materials: highly enriched uranium-235 or plutonium-239, an element never found in nature. But separating uranium was like trying to pick one grain of sand out of a beach. Millions of tons of machinery were needed. At Oak Ridge, miles of steel pipes and electromagnetic calatrons ran day and night. Women called calotron girls stood at massive control panels, adjusting dials without knowing they were changing the course of history. At Hanford, giant reactors rose from the desert. Plutonium was born in glowing blue pools. But even as the factories grew, no one knew if a bomb could actually work. Some feared the chain reaction might ignite Earth's atmosphere. Others feared it would fail entirely. Oppenheimer said quietly, "Better to fail than to let Hitler succeed." While the scientists worked, espionage played another deadly game. British intelligence teams discovered something stunning. Germany's nuclear program was struggling. Its key scientists, including Werner Heisenberg, had made mistakes. They had miscalculated, but no one in America believed it yet. The risk was too great. A single German breakthrough might still change everything. So the Manhattan Project pushed harder. Faster, beyond doubt, beyond safety. Workers were exposed to radiation. Scientists collapsed from exhaustion. Families were torn apart by secrecy because the fear was always the same. What if the Nazis are ahead? By 1944, a uranium bomb, codenamed Little Boy, took shape. It was simple, brutal, and terrifying. A gun-type design, a projectile of uranium fired into another piece, creating a massive explosion. But the plutonium bomb, Fat Man, was different. Complicated, dangerous, shaped like a sphere of explosive lenses designed to crush plutonium into a critical mass. Every lens had to fire at the same instant. Every wire had to behave perfectly. One failure, and the bomb would fizzle. And so the world's smartest minds wrestled with the world's most dangerous problem, until finally, they were ready to test it. Narrator, Soft, July 16, 1945, 4 a.m., a desert near Alamogordo, New Mexico. The bomb, named the Gadget, hung from a steel tower. Scientists lay on the sand, wearing welder's goggles. Oppenheimer whispered Sanskrit lines. "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." The desert erupted into a sun-bright fireball. A shock wave shattered windows 120 miles away. The ground rippled like water, the first nuclear explosion in human history. Mankind had entered a new age. When Groves asked Oppenheimer whether the bomb was bigger or smaller than expected, he replied, "Slightly bigger." The weapon worked, and America now held power beyond imagination. But the war was not over. Germany had surrendered in May 1945. The bomb had been built to stop Hitler, but it would be used somewhere else, Japan. Japan refused to surrender. American casualties in the Pacific mounted by the tens of thousands. Military leaders predicted an invasion might cost 1 million American lives, and millions more Japanese. President Harry Truman faced a choice no human should make: continue the war, or use the most powerful weapon the world had ever known. The Joint Chiefs prepared the plan. The bombs were loaded onto B-29 aircraft. Final orders were given. The scientists watched in silence. Their race against Hitler had ended. But a far darker chapter was beginning. August 6, 1945. The Enola Gay takes flight. 42 seconds after release. Little Boy explodes over Hiroshima. A white flash, a rising fireball, a pillar of smoke and dust reaching the heavens. 70,000 people die instantly. Tens of thousands more suffer in the days after. 3 days later, Fat Man falls on Nagasaki. Another flash, another firestorm. By August 15th, Japan surrenders. World War II is over, but the world has changed forever. The Manhattan Project ended the war, but unleashed a new age of fear and power, the nuclear age. The scientists returned home, haunted by what they had built. Oppenheimer lost his security clearance. Groves faded into obscurity. But the legacy of their work remains in every discussion of peace, war, deterrence, and survival. The race against Nazi Germany was won, but the race to control nuclear power continues today. This is the story of the Manhattan Project, a triumph of science, a warning for humanity, and a reminder that the greatest threat to our world comes not from ignorance, but from the brilliance of our own minds.